Alrighty, folks, let's do this. Voodoo Val, today is my first anniversary of DCC. Oh my gosh, what? 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 Really, Ted? Your first anniversary of the Daily Creative Challenge. I want to thank you so much for the past year. You've taught me so much. Oh my gosh, I am so happy, number one, that you have been hanging out and learning with us for a year. Number two, thank you for your kindness. And number three, I am so stoked that you have enjoyed these challenges enough that you're here and you've been here for a year. That is super cool. That makes my day. Thank you very much for sharing. That is wonderful. And I'm glad that this is actually the year anniversary for you, because today is actually going to be the challenge that I was most looking forward to teaching you guys. This is the one that I am like really actually very excited about for this entire round of classes. And I'm very pumped to kind of just dive into it today and show you folks what we're getting up to. So you guys probably are waiting for me to go over standard announcements and all that stuff, so I'm gonna do that, some housekeeping points before we dive in. If you're over on YouTube today, please come over to behance.net/live, because that is where I am going to be reading the chat. That's where everybody's at over here. It's where the party is. It's where it's happening. Also, my name is Voodoo Val, and I am going to be your instructor for the Daily Creative Challenges up until the 26th of this month, and I'm very happy to be here and be able to do that. Yeah, I'm gonna jump over to the landing page where you folks can kind of join me, get all the files you need, and then we're gonna dive into today's challenge, because today's challenge is actually a little hefty. I think it's a little hefty. Not like crazy steps, but it's just sometimes the steps are a little time consuming. So I do want to jump into everything, but let's pop over here real quick to the landing page. This is behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. And you can come here to get all of the starter files and things that you need for these challenges. You'll know you're in the right place if you see this March 1st to March 26th thing up here, because that is the date and timeline that corresponds to this video. If you're watching this video in the future and you're wondering why when you go to the landing page there's a different time and date, all you have to do is scroll all the way down here to the bottom, and you will start to see all of the past challenges, and you can just find the March 1st to 26th time frame, and you will then find yourself all of the videos and all of the starter files that you'll need. You'll get a little 1 through 4 for how does it work here, and then you can also see that we've had all of these challenges being unlocked every day, and we are on our final challenge now. Create a custom mock-up with an editable environment and color. So I have done a mock-up challenge before, but what I did was I just showed you folks how to edit a smart object. Today what I'm going to be getting into is how we can take an image and we can actually make regions on that image to edit the colors of everything in the scene, as well as creating spaces for you to edit like stationary regions. So I'm gonna pop over there really quick. I'm just gonna jump into Photoshop. Now this is the Challenge 9 starter file. If you download the starter file for today, you will get this little business stationary photo image from Unsplash. It is a free image that you folks can use, and I am going to actually, because I've put it in my libraries already, I'm going to go ahead and open it in my Photoshop. Now, this is the image that I have, and I thought it was really pretty. I think it has some things that you might want to edit if you were going to use this for a mock-up. This is a flat image, okay? This is a flat image, flat photograph that I found that we're going to turn into a mock-up. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. Now, keep in mind, when other people create mock-ups, like people who create mock-ups for a living, they might add a lot more extra steps and things than I do in this challenge. However, I do want to go over, like I said, editing the colors of things in the scene, as well as making some of these stationary regions, like the papers and the business cards, editable, and just show you how you folks could do that, because if you know how to do those things, in a pinch you can download an image or license an image and have your very own mock-up instead of hoping that somebody else somewhere made a mock-up for you that is good enough for you to use for a specific project. And sometimes those mock-ups, when you find a really nice one that's editable already, they can be very expensive, and not all of us have the time, money, and ability to purchase those things. So this is how I would go about making one on my own. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do is actually create a color layer that can be edited very easily for the background here. So for this white surface that everything is sitting on, I'm gonna select all of it, and then I'm going to create a nice layer for it. So the way that I'm gonna do that is I'm actually gonna grab my object selection tool. You can press W on your keyboard if you like. If you don't see it when you press W, if you just right click your panel here, you will see it's probably under the quick selection tool or the magic wand. Now, normally I suppose you could, go to the magic wand tool and tap in here, but this is a little messy here, just trying to select this background. So what I'm gonna do is something that I try to keep in mind whenever I am creating, and that is that when I wanna select something, sometimes I don't have to select it. Sometimes I just need to select everything but it. So I am actually gonna come in here and I'm gonna select all the plants and all of this business, because if I select all of this stuff, I'm gonna hit L on my keyboard to flip over to my lasso. If I select everything except the background, then I can actually do a select inverse if I want to. I can do a select inverse and then I'll have the entire selection anyways. So let me I wanna get it like pretty clean, if I can manage. Okay, let's see, I gotta grab this right here and make sure that is in there. I'm gonna press R on my keyboard to rotate my canvas so that I can come in here and select this a little bit better, because my hand, I am using my stylus to go around here, but my hand, it doesn't really like do these soft, perfect strokes very well from certain directions. So if I rotate my canvas, I can see it much, much better. Okay, I think we've got the plants selected. Now what I want to do is go back to my object selection tool with W, and I am going to actually drag a really nice box around this computer. Boom. And it should snap. That's not bad. What I am going to do is grab my rectangular marquee, however, and I'm going to subtract from the edges here, just like that, because I want this to be as clean as I can possibly make it right here. So let's do the same thing to here. Oops. Actually, we want that a little bit cleaner than that. Okay. And then I'm going to come in here because I think that this can be cleaned up, and I'm going to, I'm going to grab my lasso tool yet again, and I'm going to do a little bit of subtracting. Okay. I've already been pretty precious with this, but I think I'm going to knock it off here in just a second, because I know that we got some other stuff to get into. So I've selected all this. I also know that you guys probably don't want to sit and watch me select things over and over again. So I've got the plant selected. Oh no, I didn't get the plant selected. You know what? I didn't hold shift when I was adding the laptop. That's a good thing to keep in mind, because I've just made a mistake. What I did was I selected these, but when I zoomed in here, I didn't have those on screen, so I wasn't really paying attention, and I did not hold shift when I started adding the selection. So what that basically did was, when I did not hold shift, it did not keep the selections of the plants, and I just made my own standalone selection here. So I'm gonna drag this out again, and I just used the rectangular marquee actually there, because I think that's gonna be a lot cleaner than the object selection. And now I'm gonna come in with my lasso, and I'm gonna hold shift again. Actually, I'm gonna hold Alt to subtract. Boom. And I'm gonna come around here. There we go. Just kind of clean it up as best I can. I think that is gonna do it. I'm not gonna mess with it too much. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is grab my rectangular marquee tool, and I am actually going to get in here, and as accurately as I can, I'm just gonna tap and drag over these, because these are just rectangles and squares here. This is easy to add. So I'm going to do that. And if I was doing this a little more seriously, for example, if I had to like really do this for a client project or something like that, you can bet I would be a lot more precise with some of the edges on this here. But I don't really have to do that today, because today is about kind of helping you folks get to the point where you can do this yourselves. However, if you do want a quick and easy way to clean it up, you can go to the polygonal lasso tool. One of the things here that you can do is I can bring this up, and with a straight line, I can come in and kind of clean those edges up. Like maybe I want to subtract just the little lip right there, and I've got like a nice hard straight line that I can go ahead and just apply with the polygonal lasso tool. It's one of my favorites because sometimes I don't have a stylus, or sometimes I do have my stylus, but I am not very good at like making perfect line selections, and this allows me to be like really precise and clean with my selection. Okay. So now we have everything selected in our scene, and what I'm going to do is right click and say select inverse. So now I have everything aside from these items selected, which is what I wanted, because we're going to create a layer that can change the color of our background here. And this is how I'm going to do it, okay? I'm actually going to come in here down to the bottom. I'm going to move myself so you can see my cursor. So down here next to your create layer mask button is the adjustments button. It looks like a little circle that's cut in half. And if I click that and go to photo filter, not only did it add a photo filter, but it made me a great mask of the entire selection that I did there. Now check this out. If I decide that I want to crank this up, it's changing the color of my background only in a way that actually looks really nice, because it's a photo filter, so it's not filling in all of these shadows. It's literally kind of like putting a filter over top of it that still allows me to see all of these wonderful details within the scene. So the shadow changes, you know, this light highlight changes everything, and it's very cohesive. Another thing that you can do is you can come in here to color and say I would like to change this to purple. I can say okay. I can come in and crank that density up if I want to, or crank it down. I can make it really, really dark if I want to, and bump that up. I think you can, yeah, you can do the preserve luminosity. So preserve luminosity means that you can see all that stuff through it, okay? So you can see all of the highlights and things. However, if I turn that off, you can get much more of a, like a solid opaque color. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if I don't have this density turned all the way up, it actually gives me still, you can see some of that luminosity-esque kind of highlights and shadows and things peeking through. So it's really up to you and what you would like to do for this filter, because it's your project. But that is how you can do this. And depending on what kind of file you use, you might be using the same image that I am using today, or you may have a separate personal photo that you can use on your own. You can actually select whatever you want. So if I wanted to change the color of this plant, I could do it to the plant, and if I wanted to change the color of the laptop, I could do that. And you can also come in here and you can double click. Can I do, yes, enter selected mask. So you can edit that mask if you double click that mask on your deal there. Let me say cancel. So if you want to come back and edit this mask, and then if I double click this camera icon here on that photo filter, it'll also open up the photo filter properties so that I can come in and re-edit this at a later date, so I can continue to use and reuse this portion of my mockup. Now, if you want to get really fancy and you want to make all of this look like a real mockup file, you could always call this background surface, or you'd call this desk surface, maybe desk surface. And then you could come in here and you could add a color to it if you want. Maybe we'll make this orange, you know, and start kind of denoting areas. Another thing that we can do is we can start making these regions editable so that I can put my designs in them. So how do we do that? There's a lot of ways that you can do this, but I'm going to show you how I do it for myself, okay? I am simply going to drag a box with my rectangular marquee. In fact, actually, I'm not going to use the rectangular marquee. I am actually going to use the polygonal lasso because I don't think this is a perfect box. I'm going to tap right here. I'm going to bring it up. Now, in the past, I have showed you guys how to drag out a smart object shape into the space that you want to add a smart object, like an editable smart object to. Excuse me. However, we're not doing that today because in all of those that I did before, none of those files that we began with started with images that already had editable regions exactly where we wanted to edit. We had to add things to photos, like a picture of a brick wall, and then add something to that brick wall already. But since this photo has what we need, all we have to do here is make the regions that are already presented to us what we want them to be. So on this layer, with this selected, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press Control J. Okay, so I have this duplicated. If I hide this, you can see nothing changes. If I hide the background, you can see I've got just this one thing right here, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna call this large page, okay? And for large page, or what we could do is we could do this if you want to do this. Your design here. Maybe we start doing it like that, just so that you folks can, like, let me do this in caps. Your design here. Just so that this starts to look like a real mock-up, and that design does not have an E in it. And then I'm going to assign this a red, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to turn this into a smart object. And now I have to make that red again, but that's okay. Let's put red on that. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to double click the icon for this, all right? Now this opens up a version of that region that has this piece in it, okay? It has that bottom design in it. Now, since this is an image, it doesn't have like editable regions and stuff already, you know, filled in here. But I can hide this and I can come in here and with my paint bucket tool and maybe we will grab like a violet and we'll paint bucket that in there. And maybe I'm making a promo, and this promo that I want, maybe it is, you know, something like this. I don't know. Maybe it's something like that. And I'm going to paint bucket like some white in there, and then I'm gonna Control J, Control T, we'll flip that around. I'm just making like a quick promo that could be, you know, maybe this is what I'm doing here. And I'm gonna start like, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna write some stuff in here and then I'm gonna put a Twitter handle here and do that, and then have like, I don't know, maybe there's a little icon with some information. I don't know. This is all conceptual, okay? This is all just something, so that we have a placeholder in here. And I'm gonna say Control S, okay? So I save that, and then when I come back over here to our mockup, ta-da! So now we have editable regions. So if I want, I can come in here and I can go to every single one of these business cards and I can create an editable region. So if I have business card designs, I can start dropping them in there. Our design here is purple. So maybe I come back in here, maybe I decide I want the background to match with our color here a little more. And maybe I want to crank up, actually, can I select that purple color? No, apparently. I want to get something that's gonna match that. Let's do like there, okay. And I'm gonna turn preserve luminosity off, and I'm gonna crank it down just to like right there. So maybe I start wanting to, you know, actually I want preserve luminosity on because I want more of these shadows to show. So that's just how it's gonna have to be. But maybe I wanna, you know, make it match and start editing. Maybe I want to make a photo layer that actually edits the color of my my pots here, my planter pots, because that would be really cool. Then I could really edit everything in the scene. Time for pie. Umacord, ta-da! I was trying to be magical for you guys, okay? But yeah, that is how I would start, you know, kind of developing a real applicable mock-up out of an image that I find that I think is perfect for my project. So if you have ever seen just a flat image and you're like, oh man, I wish this image was a mock-up, that would have been perfect, and you have to pass it up because, you know, you're not a mock-up creator and you need a mock-up for your project. Now you can actually take that image into Photoshop and start creating your very own super clean, highly functional, reusable mock-up for yourself. And you could also start adding in random things on your own. Maybe you want to add different items. Maybe one of the things that you do with this mock-up is you content aware fill. I know I have a couple minutes left here, but what about this? I'm gonna hide these things. What if this is what we do for this? What if we come in here? Actually, I'm gonna select this way, and then I'm going to select inverse, and then I am going to remove all of this. So I just have my plants. Okay, what if I come up here and go to image, I believe, no, edit, and I go to content aware fill. And we content aware fill these things right out, okay? These plants. We're gonna take these plants right out of here, okay? I'm just gonna remove it. I wanna remove this. I'm just gonna get all of this out of here. And maybe, I hope let me maybe take some of this out. It's gonna take a little work, I think, maybe. It's starting to get a little bit better. But what if I content aware fill these things out? I'm gonna say, okay, even though that's, you know, that's a little meh. I'm gonna group these, and then I'm going to duplicate that group and convert that to a smart object and deselect with Control D. And then maybe I'll come in here with the patch tool. Maybe I'll come in here with the patch tool and I will start to, can I? Oh, it's got to rasterize. It's got to rasterize, hold on. And maybe I will start to, you know, kind of patch this up, kind of clean this up. And then maybe I start adding my own items in here. What do you think about that? What if I add my own things in here to match whatever project I need? So we'll clear this space up and then it can be literally whatever I want it to be. It doesn't matter that there's plants here. So that's another way that you could do this. And I'm running out of time here, folks, so I do have to take off, but that's just an idea for how you can really get in here and edit this. Of course, you'll have to clean it up a little bit more and find some good photos of different objects that you can put in here, but it can be done. I'm gonna go ahead and put this plant back here, and then I'm gonna say adios to you folks because it is time for me to take off. It's been an absolute blast hanging out with you folks today. I hope you enjoyed this challenge because I was looking forward to this because I had a lot of fun putting this one together. You folks are wonderful. I can't wait to see what you create with the mock-up challenge, and I will talk to you guys next week, early Monday morning. All right, folks, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Happy designing, everyone.